Every man dreams of wealth. Every woman longs for success. But the great error is believing that these things arrive by chance, by favor, or by luck. They do not. Wealth and success are effects. They are reflections of the growth you have forced upon yourself through discipline, intention, and a definite purpose. You do not attract wealth by waiting for it. You do not attract success by admiring it in others. You attract these things by becoming the kind of person who commands them, not through noise, but through evolution. Growth is the doorway through which every fortune must walk, and not comfort, not convenience, not casual ambition, but growth that is forced, growth that is chosen in the face of every excuse. If you are waiting for inspiration to grow, you will wait your life away. You must force yourself to grow. That is the price. It is easy to remain who you are. It is natural to defend the familiar, but if you wish to experience a life that is uncommon, you must become someone who grows uncommonly. You must do the difficult work of becoming. You must look at yourself not with criticism, but with truth and say, this version of me will not get me where I intend to go. And then, with faith and fire, begin the work of becoming something greater. Most people never grow. They age, but they do not evolve. They become older, but not wiser. They repeat the same year again and again and call it a life. And when they see someone growing, someone challenging their old limits, someone daring to rise, they call it arrogance. They call it obsession. They call it unnecessary. But I call it necessary. Because nothing changes until you do. You will not out-earn your growth. You will not outperform your self-image. You will not out-succeed your belief system. If your mind is small, your life will shrink to fit it. If your habits are weak, your results will crumble under pressure. And if your thinking is rooted in fear, you will never experience the freedom you crave. But if you force yourself to grow daily, deliberately, with discipline, then wealth becomes inevitable. Success becomes a consequence. Because wealth is not something you chase. It is something you magnetize by becoming more. The man who grows becomes attractive, not just in charm, but in value. He becomes a source. He becomes a builder. And in a world of consumers, the builder always wins. So how do you force yourself to grow? You begin by eliminating the lie that growth must feel good. It doesn't. It often feels painful, confusing, lonely. Growth stretches your ego. It exposes your patterns. It brings your weaknesses into the light. And that is why so many avoid it. But hear me. Your pain in growth is not punishment. It is preparation. Do not curse your growing pains. Bless them. They are evidence that you have left the old self behind. They are signs that the seeds you've planted are cracking open, breaking through the dirt, reaching for the sun. And though that process is invisible, it is real. You are not stuck, you are sprouting. And if you keep going, the fruit will arrive. But first you must train your mind to love the discipline, force yourself to study, to learn, to expand your understanding, to expose yourself to new ideas, to sharpen your mind like a blade, not for the sake of information, but for the sake of transformation. You must force yourself to do what average people avoid. Wake earlier. Think longer. Reflect deeper. Speak with clarity. Move with intention. Delay gratification. Master your impulses. Replace reaction with response. This is the work of growth, and the man who commits to this work, regardless of how he feels, will begin to rise, slowly at first, imperceptibly. But one day, he will wake up and notice his emotions are steadier. His focus is sharper. His relationships are stronger. His bank account is increasing. His opportunities are multiplying. And the people who once laughed at his discipline will begin to study his decisions. Because results don't lie. But the real prize is not the wealth. It is who you became in order to hold it. There are many men who inherit money and lose it because they never grew. There are many men who gain attention but collapse because they never matured. Success without growth is a curse, but success that follows growth is sustainable because it rests on the solid ground of character, clarity, and command. And let me say this plainly. You will not drift into this kind of growth. You must decide. You must force it. You must set standards higher than your mood. You must honor the alarm when it rings. You must choose action when your emotions say wait. You must say yes to effort when your body says rest. That is how you build strength. That is how you condition your mind for wealth. Not through comfort, but through consistency. Now, you must surround yourself with people who stretch you. People who challenge your ideas, not out of rebellion, but out of respect for your potential. The wrong environment will lull you back to sleep. The right one will shake you awake. Seek out mentors. Read from the greats. Listen to voices that push you higher and cut off everything that makes you comfortable staying the same, because your future depends on it. Growth is not something you get around to. It is something you prioritize. You must put it at the top of your calendar. You must block time for it. You must protect it. And you must execute on it daily without fail. Read, journal, reflect, plan, review, push, track, repeat. This is the rhythm of builders. This is the cadence of champions. And when you do this long enough, when you repeat these disciplines day after day after day, your confidence will rise. Not because of compliments, but because of consistency. And confidence built on consistency cannot be shaken because it is earned. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself with a certainty that no critic can cancel, because you know what they do not. You forced yourself to grow. You showed up when you didn't want to. You finished the race when quitting was easier. You paid the price in silence. And now you move in power. Wealth follows that man. Success chases that man. Because the man who grows becomes magnetic. He becomes a person of value, a leader, a creator, a light in the dark, a solution in a world of problems. And people pay attention to those who bring light. People pay for value. And wealth flows towards certainty, not insecurity. That is the secret. Force yourself to grow. Become valuable. And money will come. Not all at once. Not overnight. But surely, steadily, with each step forward, your mind expands. With each hour invested, your capacity increases. With each obstacle overcome, your confidence compounds. And over time, you will look back and realize the man you are now would be unrecognizable to the man you once were. Not because of your net worth, but because of your self-worth, because of your discipline, because of your mental sharpness, because of your spiritual depth, because of your refusal to stay where you started. That is what growth does. It changes everything, inside first, then outside. And the men who commit to that change without excuse, without delay, without apology, those are the men who build empires. Not empires of ego, but empires of impact. They do not shout. They do not brag. They do not beg. They become. They build. They transform. And because of that transformation, everything they once hoped for becomes a byproduct. Wealth, success, freedom. These are no longer the goal. They are the reward. When a man begins to grow, the universe does not rush to reward him. At first, it tests him. It places obstacles in his way not to defeat him, but to refine him. You see, growth must be proven. it must be reinforced. And that reinforcement comes through friction, through hardship, through pressure. These are not punishments. They are confirmations. They are the universe asking, how serious are you about becoming more? And that is where most turn back. They say they want success, but when growth asks for sacrifice, they hesitate. They say they want wealth, but when discipline demands structure, they resist. They say they want freedom, but when change requires effort, they retreat to what is familiar. But not you, because you understand that growth is a decision you must keep making, not once but daily. You have to force it, especially when it's inconvenient, because the truth is the version of you that lives in comfort cannot carry the wealth you desire. He cannot handle the success you're asking for. That version must be upgraded, and upgrades require discomfort. There is no elevation without excavation. You must dig deep. You must remove what no longer belongs. Old habits, old patterns, old excuses. You must become conscious of the thoughts that limit you, the language that sabotages you, the behavior that holds you back. And you must attack them not with shame but with discipline. You must replace weakness with principle, chaos with structure, emotion with execution. This is the grind of greatness. And those who force themselves to grow, who embrace the mental tension of transformation, those are the ones who rise. And not only rise, but remain, because their success is not built on sand, it is built on solid inner character. Do not chase what you have not prepared for. Instead, become the person worthy of receiving it. Don't ask for more until you can manage what you already have. Don't ask for wealth until you've learned to manage energy. Don't ask for freedom until you've mastered your routine, because success is not a reward for the hopeful. It is the harvest of the prepared. You do not grow by chance. You grow by design. And design requires detail, specificity, focus. Ask yourself, where am I going? Who must I become to get there? What must I do daily, repeatedly, to earn the right to arrive? And when you have that answer, you go to work. Not when you feel like it. Not when others support you. But every single day. You wake up and you act as if you are already that man. You speak his words. You follow his schedule. You hold his posture. You adopt his standards. You live by his values. And you do not negotiate with the lesser version of yourself, not ever. That is how identity shifts. That is how growth locks in. You must raise your standards so high that the old version of you suffocates in your new environment. There must be no oxygen left for your excuses to breathe. And if you do that, the world will begin to respond differently. You will start to attract opportunities. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. You become the kind of person who deserves the things you once dreamed about. And the things that once seemed impossible begin to move toward you, slowly at first, then all at once. But you must not lose focus, because with success comes new distractions. With momentum comes temptation. And the moment you think you've arrived, you will begin to drift. That is the danger. Because growth is not a destination. It is a practice. You must stay hungry. Stay humble. Stay sharp. You must continue to force your evolution, even when you're winning. Especially when you're winning. Because the prize is not what you get, it's who you continue to become. Too many men rise only to fall. They grow a little, then plateau. They expand once, then relax. But the man who lasts, the man who sustains wealth, who multiplies success, who leaves a legacy, he never stops growing. He forces himself forward even when no one is watching. Because he's not growing for applause, he's growing for purpose. That's you.